Let's get this. Good day, everybody. We've got 16 people here, and maybe a few people will want to cook along. Leave It to Chef has been, well, a fun progress. We tend to cook together every week, and usually we cook for, the public. And I just absolutely love the joy and excitement of, cooking and sharing the love and joy. Leave It to Chef started out as a thing called Rice and Spice. We basically did that international slow food dinner. And the idea was every week we get a different chef to share their knowledge, and we all cook together. And this is the modern version of that, and I love it. I think I love it more because, for example, next week we're going to have a couple people from Brazil cooking, and we'll cook along with them. So Suzanne, I want to really thank you for sharing, because I'm actually nervous because I don't bake very much. I cook a lot. I cook every day. But I get nervous not looking at the food. And so when it's cooking. So I am here to learn and try to cook along.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. So my name is Suzanne. I know Orr from couch surfing. We have never met in person. It's all been just on videos. So, and I've got this pretty little hat here. And yeah, so I think we should just get going.
Yeah.
I know my little thing moved here. Let's make sure we can get it to stay, right? Okay. So hi, everyone. Make sure if you don't want to be heard to mute yourself. And I want to say hi to everyone. Hello, everyone. There's Molly. Hi, Fred. And oh, hi, Laura. And Lulu. I can't see all the names. So yay. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're making three things today. We're making fruity soda bread, which is an Irish soda bread that has some dried fruit in it. We're going to make some jam, which is a real quick stovetop jam. And then we're also going to make butter. And now that I have
Couldn't you have been a little less ambitious?
Well, no, it can all be made at the same time because butter takes so fast. It's not like churning. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm amazed. Less than 5 minutes. So I don't think I'm ever going to buy my butter again. So it's like, no, I'm just, it's good. It's all good. So let's see. So I have let me see. I need to make sure I've got this. Okay. Right. So here's the recipe. I included this on the link or in the link. So we have all the information here, and I can also send this to Orr to send out if you like, but I have a quick list of the directions and what we're going to be doing. So I will talk you through the whole thing, so don't worry about it. First thing you need to do, turn on your oven. We're going to turn it on.
Make sure you have stuff taken out of it. I made that mistake.
Take your things out, yes, especially anything that might burn. I've burned things before.
At what temperature is?
425.
Ooh,
it's a spicy.
Yeah, a friend of mine left a plastic cutting board in the stove one time, and I just came in and turned it on and didn't look.
Oh, that's bad.
What a mess.
I have a question. Where do you want the shelf to be? What height?
That's a great question. I usually put mine just in the middle.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems like middle you get consistent temperature unless you have a really good new oven.
And the 425 is Fahrenheit.
Yes, that is Fahrenheit. It's 220 Celsius. So if somewhere where you have Celsius, then there you go, 220.
So
and then, yep, 220 Celsius, 425 Fahrenheit. And then you want to get your,
Oh, I guess
yep, you want to get just a regular sheet pan and a piece of parchment paper to put on top of it. And you can see mine is very well used. It's a little scorched on the edges, but it'll last for a good long time. I think I've used this maybe for 6-7 times on various things. There's probably been bread, cookies on it, and whatnot.
Do you know how big this will be? Like I've got I think I would put it in an 8x8 pan before. Is that size going to be enough?
For me, it winds up being about as big. So let me see. I would say, oh, here, how about this? I've got one. Here we go. So this is the one that I made.
Oh, I can't quite see that. Okay.
Okay. Can you see this? I'm trying to
Yeah.
get my, there it is. All right. So here is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper.
So you just did it on a flat tray then?
Yep, a flat tray.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's a little
How-
bit bigger than 8.5. I'd say about 9, 10.
I was thinking of making them in cupcake tins, but
You could try that. You could definitely try that. I would kind of modify the amount of time that you put in the oven.
yeah.
You
All
can
right.
you can also heat up, like while the oven's heating up, you could heat up a cast iron pan and then put it in there. So
Now, one of the reasons why I've always had problems baking is I never weighed stuff. I always went by like measuring cups, and I found out that that's pretty bad because
yeah,
everything everything has different.
yeah.
Like flour, if it's more moist one day,
Or if
how
you
do you
fluff
pack it in, how
right,
fluffy
or
it is.
yeah, if it's compressed or if it's too fluffy, yeah. If you're not going to weigh it, then kind of just take a fork or not a fork, a knife, and kind of stir it around there just a little bit, not too much, and then that should be fine.
Okay, to like fluff it up, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a minor fluff.
So you're saying we can cook it on a sheet pan or in a cast iron skillet?
Yes,
And would we use parchment paper on the cast iron skillet as well?
I would too. Yeah, just in case.
And my tendency would be to do the cast iron skillet. Does it matter?
I think you're going to get more browning on the bottom with a cast iron skillet.
Okay.
And I've made other bread in cast iron pans before, and I really like that for yeasty breads. I've never tried soda bread in it, so it'd be an experiment. So, and we like experiments because they're always yummy. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to make the buttermilk. So if you haven't bought any buttermilk, then you take your regular milk and you're going to measure out 400, just ever so slightly less than 400 milliliters, just a tiny, tiny fraction less. Smell the milk to make sure it's good. And I have whole milk because that's how I roll.
I'm so glad you are teaching us how to do this because I couldn't find buttermilk.
Oh, I never have buttermilk. Never, ever.
I love buttermilk, but it's kind of hard to find.
Right. And then what we're going to do is take lemon juice. You can either I have fancy dancy organic lemon juice in a jar because I use so much of it. Or if you have a lemon, just juice the lemon. You're going to add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to the milk and then just let it sit there. You don't have to really stir it up if you don't want to. That's optional. And you want to end up with about 400. I wind up having just a little bit more than 400. So that means I will add just a tiny fraction more of flour. But we don't worry about that. Whoa. I need to fix that. So I have my camera on a door and it's closing on me. Hey, Kelson. Yay. I've got tech support.
No,
Okay, we'll figure something out.
I think I've got lime juice.
Yep, you can use lime juice as well, because it's you know, there's some acid to it, so no worries. All right, so now we're going to take, and you want to, in a bowl, I am measuring mine out. So you need to turn your scale on if you're using a scale. And for this, we need, get the right page out.
If we bought,
Mhm.
if we bought buttermilk, how much buttermilk do we need?
400 milliliters.
Thank you.
Mhm. I like how I didn't print out the right page.
Is that okay? I'm just teasing.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Sure.
So,
That's what they see. Just so you know.
oh, good. Okay, thanks. All right. Okay, so let's take, we need 500 grams or 1 pound, 2 ounces of plain flour.
All right, I did that.
And I'm using plain flour. I've made this recipe a whole bunch of times this last week. And I found that using plain flour is the best, even though I did try to add a bunch of whole wheat flour to it. And something today just really worked better, or yesterday, with just having a plain flour.
Baking soda.
Okay, so we've got 500. Ooh, spot on, almost. Yeah, that's good enough. And then you're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt.
I know how to keep my salt in all hard as a rock.
Mine never gets hard. I don't know why. And then you're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Yep, 1 teaspoon of salt. And then 2 tablespoons of sugar. Mine never gets hard. I don't know why. Yeah, mine never does. You're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Yep, 1 teaspoon of salt. Ooh, I'm hearing an echo.
Yep, I muted. Someone had it.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Now we have 2 tablespoons of sugar.
Marina's asking how much flour is the measurements.
How much flour? It should be in the invite.
Or Maureen, you have to stay muted.
Let's see. Oh, I've got it written down here. I can tell you in a second. Okay. You know what? I don't have that written down.
Let's see. Mine, I put it in a cup here. Let's see here how much it
Okay.
is. It's almost 4 cups, it looks like.
Okay.
So let's see, 2 cups. Well, I just floured my counter. Just over 3 cups.
Okay. Thanks, Or. So let's see. So we've got the just over 3 cups of plain flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar.
Let's see.
and then 1 teaspoon of baking soda.
Let's have a chat break. I'm really behind.
So I just need sugar now.
So something I've wondered about is whether baking soda goes bad, so to speak, because I've had this box for quite a few years and I still use it for baking and it seems to be fine.
Yeah, I don't think baking soda does, but baking powder does for sure.
Well, I do know baking soda, if it's open, will start absorbing, you know, smells and tastes, of course.
Right.
So
right.
once you open it, you should put it in like a plastic bag or put it in a
Like a mason jar or something.
mason
Yeah, or
jar.
a little Tupperware thing. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, like cornstarch and sugar, brown sugar, all that stuff that gets clumps up. You take it out of the box and put it in one of those plastic
Mhm.
containers.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up, we always put a thing of baking soda, you know,
In the
in the
fridge.
fridge to absorb the
Mhm.
smells, right?
Exactly.
So you do that in your kitchen too.
Yeah. So then you take the dry ingredients and just take a quick whisk through it, just to incorporate, get everything put together, and throw part of it on the counter.
My counter is definitely
Good
that
luck.
way. All right.
And now you're going to take 50, that's 50 grams of butter. And then you're going to look for a knife because you've forgotten where you've put your knife. And so 50 grams of butter is just under 4 tablespoons.
Is it supposed to be softened butter or cold butter? Cold cube butter or softened butter?
Is that my cousin Mary?
No, it's me. Hello.
Oh, hello. Your voice sounds just like my cousin Mary. No, it should be cold. Mine is
Cold
at
butter.
room. Yeah, mine's at room temperature. It is what it is.
Okay, cold cube butter. Okay.
Yep. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, it's just under 4. That's fine. Just under 4 tablespoons. It's probably like 1, 2, like 3.5 to 3 3/4.
Wait, I thought you said you never buy butter. That looks like bought butter to me.
Oh, yes, this is before I found that I can make it so easily.
Okay.
I couldn't resist teasing you on that one.
I know.
All right, so I'm a little confused. Is this the shortening part where you could say
Yes.
butter?
Yep.
Yep. So
Exactly.
mine is at room temperature. Is that a problem? You say it's not a problem?
It's not a problem. That's what mine is at your room temperature as well.
Okay, and we're putting this directly into the dry ingredients?
Yep, into the dry ingredients, correct.
Do you suggest shortening or butter over the other? I have this shortening that's been sitting forever.
It's just like you just want to get rid of stuff.
Right.
That's what I
You're
was
like
thinking.
me. I'm just like, oh man, how do I use up this last bit of this thing?
I don't use shortening for anything.
Butter.
Yeah, I really like butter. I've made it with shortening and it's been just fine. So I don't, the butter is a little more of a rich flavor. So either way, I say just go for it and see what happens. Or half and half. So now what you're going to do is, this is why it works better if it's really cold, is you're just going to, toss it around in the flour. And we're just kind of touching it lightly to kind of smush it. And we're going to kind of get it so that it's all incorporated through, but not more like a crummy type mixture. And do it kind of quick. You don't want to touch and hold the pieces because we don't want them to warm up. How much baking powder? There is no baking powder. It's only baking soda. And it's 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Don't make the mistake of using baking powder. I've done that twice. It will not rise and it will be dense and wet and gross. So baking soda.
Just to be a little sexist, I heard that men can't bake as well because their hands are too warm to do this part.
Yes. Yeah.
So dip your hands in like cold water or ice water or something a little
Yeah.
bit before you start doing this part. Or what you can do is put gloves on, and that'll keep some of the warmth.
Or you just do it really fast.
Well,
So
okay.
because
Why are men's hands warmer?
It's true. When in my art class, like men would always like when we did like clay, because you want your hands to be cold so that it doesn't harden. So yeah, I noticed that men would have harder time with them.
Don't know.
It's probably related to why the air conditioning is always so cold in businesses, right?
Men's metabolism is slightly higher than women's.
Oh, hi, Marie. That's my stepmom,
Hi.
Marie. Hello.
And
Okay.
buildings are only freezing cold if older women are setting the temperature. Middle-aged women.
I prefer it warmer. Not super warm.
Me too.
So my butter is right out of the fridge. Actually, right out
Oh,
of the
that's nice.
freezer is where I keep my butter in. So it's really hard to do.
That's nice. Well, yeah, and mine was on the counter, so it's slightly soft. So I have to kind of work a little faster. It does not have to be perfect. If you have, a few big lumps here and there, it's okay. It's not a big deal.
Butter lumps.
I know.
Better butter lumps.
Butter's awesome.
Pastry cutter for the butter be good or no?
You could try that if you want. It's just another thing to clean though. But it's always nice to just kind of get your hands in there and play.
Ah, this is fun. Yeah.
I know. I love this part.
1 1/4 ounce of it.
And
Will this end up still being pretty smooth?
Yes. Yeah, it gets fairly smooth. I mean, even like right now, I've got lumps when I, feel when I kind of rush it against my hands, I can feel the lumps and it's okay. It's not going to be fine. And
so it's not like I'm trying to like incorporate it into like make the flour moist.
Right. No, you're not trying to do that.
Okay, then I probably should stop because I'm enjoying this a little too much.
Yeah, me too. And I'm just listening to you guys talk. Okay. So, and then you just kind of dust up your hands. You don't have to clean them. Then you take your dried fruit. So the recipe calls for 100 grams of mixed peel and 100 grams of currants. I have made that recipe before, but I like to try other things because I don't have peel or currants are kind of expensive. So I have tried a whole bunch. Raisins work great. Right now I have chopped cherries that I prepped earlier. I've made it with chopped dates. Fantastic. That is my favorite by far.
Ooh. So I did get some currants.
Oh, nice.
And it's not that, I mean, this right here says $5.49 a pound. So I got like a half a cup for $1.45.
Oh, that's not bad.
But,
yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's, my Uber special co-op.
Well, yeah, this was at the co-op today, but I have raisins and dates too. So I could.
I am doing a combination of apricots, dates, golden raisins, and regular raisins.
Nice.
Just like, but it's only 3.5 ounces, huh?
So
okay.
Yeah, it's 3.5 total, or 3.5 for one. So a total of 7 ounces.
Oh, okay.
Or 100 grams. Or I'm sorry, a total of 200 grams. And then what you do is you take those and you mix them into the flour.
Okay, so a half a cup is only 4 ounces. So I'm gonna have to add something else. I just laugh snorted.
Nice. That's awesome. And what we do is we put them all in the flour and make sure that all the pieces are coated. What that does is that helps to keep all the pieces kind of hanging out in the whole part of the dough rather than all dropping to the bottom when it cooks.
Well, I just realized I still have my work shirt on, so you can see my same shirt. Yeah. All right. Ooh,
Okay.
I put too much raisins in. I'm gonna have to eat some of that.
Did we put the zest in yet?
Nope, I'm doing that right now. So grab the zest, and what I do, you guys, I have this great idea. So I have this problem with lemons and limes. I will buy them and they will roll to the back of the counter and I will forget about them. So I have a bowl of about.
Do they look like this one?
You mean
it's
like
as hard
this?
as a rock.
Like this?
Yeah.
Like this right here, and they're hollow now.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I've got the same thing, but I don't put them in the fridge. I leave them on the counter and forget them.
Oh, that's me too. And I've got about 20 of them. So we need to find a recipe or where we use dried lemons or dried limes. There
I think
are some
just
out
put this
there.
in a thing of vodka and you got like fake limoncello, right?
So what I do is I will take my lemons and limes and zest them right away. So I zest them, and then I have this jar that I keep in the fridge, or sorry, the freezer, and it's full of zest. See, can you see that, you guys?
Do you put anything in it to preserve it, or it's just plain?
Nope, just plain. And then I take the limes
Great
themselves.
idea.
Yeah, I could take the limes themselves, cut them in half. And in fact, let me grab this. I cut them in half. I juice them. I have little containers. These are little takeout containers.
Ooh, have anybody
one,
looked at their buttermilk? It totally looks like buttermilk.
It is. So this little container has the juice of one lime.
Ooh.
This container has the juice of half a lemon. It's in the freezer. So I have no excuse now. And I only started doing that 3 days ago. It's a new thing. So, and now for this recipe, it says it wants the juice or the zest, the zest only of 1 orange and 1 lemon. I love the zest of limes. There's something about limes. So I have a mixed. I have some orange, I have some lime, and I have some lemon. So I'm just gonna grab a bunch, however I feel like to put in there, and toss them in. And you don't need to worry about the amount. Just chuck them in and see what happens.
Oh. Now I have to figure out something else instead, because I forgot to get lemon and limes today.
Well, it's only an add-on, so you don't have to do that.
Okay.
It just kind of brightens it up a little bit. I think it should be just fine without.
So if I shouldn't add like a 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice in it.
Well, you could, of course. I mean, why not?
That won't ruin the whole equilibrium.
It will. It absolutely will not.
Hey, Suzanne.
Yes.
It's Camille.
Oh, hi, Camille. Ciao.
Hey, ciao, Bella.
Molto bene.
Oh, good. Come stai? Whatever.
I thought you guys were on a good roll there for a second.
Yeah, it's how in Alto Giorno in Paradiso, another day in paradise.
Yeah.
Hey, Suzanne, is that supposed to be a camera above your head?
This one right here?
Yeah.
Yes. This is the one. That's the one that's showing you the
what you're doing. I don't see anything that you're doing. I don't see it.
You know what? It's probably on a different screen. It should be called Suzanne Food Cam.
Okay, so
if you put it on speaker view, it shows both. This is the first time I've seen a double pinning. That's awesome.
Okay, so what you have to do is go to the top of your screen and click on view and see speaker view, and then you'll see
what she's doing.
Or if anyone is on their cell phone, just double click on the image of Suzanne's food cam, and that will pin that to the front of the camera.
Okay, so I go up to gallery view and do it up there. Okay.
So I've actually, Suzanne, got both of yours pinned permanently, so nobody has to do that.
I got it. Oh, good. Thank you.
Yay.
Grazie, Bella.
Ciao. was gonna say that.
She's like spent all that time coming up with the 2 cameras.
Okay.
This is very surprising that you've never done this before, because this is a nice setup.
I've never done this before, and I'm so excited. So many things to be excited about lately. Okay, so now when we're at this point, so how's everyone doing? Does anyone have any questions?
Well, I know Lulu's about 15 minutes behind. She always says that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm putting my butter, the flour.
Oh, good.
So I'm not too sure about that step, but I'm making small bits of my frozen butter.
Yeah, just smush it together like this. Mush, 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 mush.
But you don't want it, you said, get too warm, because then it starts getting really.
Yeah, that's why if you go, let's see, I'm putting my hand over this. There we go. If you go like this, just kind of go back and forth and drop it in between. And then just kind of pick it up.
I was really massaging it well. I mean,
yes.
But mine was really, my butter was frozen. I don't know. I just keep my butter in the freezer.
Yeah, it lasts longer. I've been doing the zesting and the juicing of the lemon and lime. That was a pandemic thing that I started to do.
Oh, nice.
The past year.
So, all right, now, so are you all ready to add the liquid ingredients, or at least most of you?
All right.
All right, so we take our liquid ingredient and we pour it into the top, and you're going to get all these blurps of things.
Blurps.
Blurps. Technical term, blurps.
Was it just the buttermilk?
Yep, this is the buttermilk only, which is the last thing to put. Okay. And then I'm just going to use a spoon. You can use a fork. You can use a knife, and just start to, gently stir everything together. We're not going to knead this because it doesn't need to be kneaded, and it's just going to make it tough. So what happens is we've got the baking soda in there, and we've just added the buttermilk, which is fairly acidic because of the lemon juice. And there's a nice chemical reaction that's going to happen and will puff up the bread. So that's why we don't need any yeast.
Is there a preferred device to fluff it up, like an egg beater or a fork?
No, it does its own stuff. Oh, for mixing? It really depends on what you feel like. So I'm just using a spoon. And then you just get to a point where it's pretty much all mixed together, and then you stop. And on your surface that's in front of you, by the way, I made this counter that you see right here. I made it with my own 2 hands.
Very nice.
Can you?
Yeah.
For
What's
something.
That?
The temperature for the oven. I have a really tiny oven, so
it's 420. Yeah, it's 425.
It's so small. People ask if it works because it looks like an easy bake.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, I forgot to put the raisins and the currants in here.
Oh my word, or.
Do we have pour the liquid, the dried stuff, the dried fruit?
Yeah, what you do is you put the dried fruit in with the powder, with the flour.
Okay.
You do that before.
Is that about a half a cup of dried bits? Dried
no,
fruit?
it is 7 ounces, which is going to be 7 ounces is almost ounces are in a cup.
8.
Okay, so almost a cup.
Okay, thank you.
Or whoa, shoot. Or whatever you have.
Yes, I have
tons.
Thank you.
And then take your floured surface and put the dough on top of it.
Mine looks like a lot more dough, I think, than yours.
It kind of depends on what you use. Wait, a lot more dough?
I don't know, maybe it's just the angle.
It's probably the angle, and my camera's really far up.
Okay.
So that is probably why. I have the flour on the surface and then I put a little flour on top. And it's going to be wet. Mine is always super wet. And so we're not going to do a lot of kneading. We're just gathering it together a couple turns. And sing and do whatever while you're doing it. This is when your hand gets a little messy. And then, and it does not have to be perfect. There's no size limit. I know.
We're still working on getting it perfect. Nah, just kidding. It's not my style. This is really sticky.
Yes, mine is always sticky. That's why I always wind up having, a bunch of flour on the surface and toss a bunch on the top. I mean, a bunch on the top, but you don't want to overload the top.
What shape are you looking for? Does it matter?
We're going round, and I would say flattish, but probably like 2.5 inches thick.
I kind of naturally made it first, just like a log.
Mm-hmm. So take a look at what mine looks like.
Yep. Oh, much more symmetrical than mine.
Well, I've been making so much of it lately. I'm serious. That is my diet. What do you eat now? Soda bread. Let's see. I have a bench scraper. Where did I put it? There it is. So you can just take it and lift it off. I have a handy dandy little bench scraper, which is these things. If you're going to be making stuff where you have to scrape or clean up after yourself, this is golden. This is an amazing thing. And then just lift it on top of the parchment paper. Toss it in the center of it.
See. Do I have parchment paper?
Do not use wax paper. See how it does? It just cleans up the whole surface. Okay.
There it is. I was about gonna have to ask you what is my choice if I don't have parchment paper.
I've never made it without. I now use parchment paper all the time for cookies, breads. Even I put it at the base of brownies because then they just lift right out, and then there's very little cleanup.
And I'm add the liquid, and I'm just going to do that in a well and then just mix it all up, right? No magic.
Yep,
to it.
that is correct. Okay, and so now when you have it sitting here, and it's about this thick, so I can see if I can show you the thickness of it. That's about how thick it is. And now what we're going to do is take a knife. That's not a knife. There we are. And you're going to take this knife and you're going to just cut all the way through to the bottom.
Okay. Looks like fun.
Yeah.
Mine is definitely not as symmetrical as yours, but I think it'll still taste good.
Oh yeah. It doesn't, you know what? It doesn't matter what it looks like. It can look like anything. Let's see what ours looks like. I'm going to see what ours looks like. Nice. Okay. And then we take this and we just toss it in the oven. You don't have to do anything else to it. By cutting those slices into it, that gives room for the inside guts of the bread to grow. So I'm tossing it in for, you're going to love this. It's 30 minutes. Let me set the timer. Now, mine never takes 30 minutes. It always takes 40 to 45 minutes. It's just the way it is.
So
and you scrape off some of the.
There's a whole bunch of dough on my knife.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
That's okay. If you want, you can scrape some of that out and just chuck it on top of it.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we say? Set it for 30? Well,
Yeah, 30 minutes for now, and we'll see what happens.
Suzanne, this is Todd.
Hi, Todd.
What indicator do you use to know that instead of 30 minutes, yours takes 45? Are you looking for a certain golden brown or?
Yep, I'm looking for color. I'm looking for how it sounds. And now I bought something fancy. I bought this. Let's see there. My instant read thermometer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is now my baby.
So
I will treat it like gold.
So I have a oh, it's an instant read though. I have like a few meat thermometers, but
the instant reads are really nice. But we can go, before I had this, I always just go by feel. Every once in a while, I would just cut a slice of it out and see what it looks like. You know, and if it's not all the way finished, you know, not all the way done, shove it back in the oven. Easy peasy.
Do you do your cuts into 4 pieces or 8?
I did 6.
Okay.
I usually do 6. However, you know, if you want 4, if you want 8, no problem. This is what happens if you turn it into 6. So, and you can see it gets all, you know, what we're looking for is a firmness. This is the fig one that I made, or dates. I mean dates. Oh God, they're so good. And excuse me while I eat mine. So now, all right, how many people have them in the oven? A bunch of people? A couple? Because what we'll do is we'll move on to the next
I
step.
don't know. I kept up with you. I'm proud of myself.
Or that's really darn cool. Now,
so, well,
because
we'll see if the final product is like.
Yes.
I kept up with you. Doesn't mean I kept up with you well.
Well, how about this? Shall we try and move on to get the jam started?
All right, let's start jamming.
We're gonna jam. And all right, so now I get to move I'm gonna see how Kelson set this up. Okay, I see that. Because what I'm going to do, I decided to, oh, bullocks. Okay, so I'm not sure if I can actually move this. How did I do this before? I have to move my camera so you guys can see. And I apparently didn't look into the transition of this.
Where do you need to point it?
Check this out. All right, so do you see my oven? Let's see.
Well, if I get the.
Oh, there we go. Of course, who knows if I'll actually be able to get it back to the other part. Okay, I'm just trying to pin this. All right, go on. Okay.
Well, I can add spotlight. There you go.
Okay, let me tighten the nuts on my little thing. Okay. No, I don't want you to see my floor. Oh my gosh. Not the floor, no.
Oh, we see the top of your stove really well.
That's all right. That's good. That's where we're going to be here. Okay. Okay. So now I just need to tighten this. And all right, I think we're good. So this one, normally you're going to make it in a saucepan, but you know what? You can make it in a flat.
Is that a copper pan or just really shiny pan?
It's just very shiny.
I was like,
it's shiny. I need to take this out of the view. So I made plum. Whoops. I'm in my freezer grabbing my blueberries because I decided that I'm going to make some blueberry jam.
If I had known that, I froze a bunch of blueberries back in the summer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you can use any fresh fruit you like. And
apples?
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Really?
What you do is just, take for jam. This is really simple, especially if you're just going to use it, you know, same day or within a week. Then take a small amount, especially depending on how many people. One person, for me, it's one person. I just take some some fruit, chop it up, add a little bit of sugar. I don't like a lot of sugar at all because a lot of fruits are so sweet as they are. You don't need to add a lot. And then, set it on the stove and let it bubble away. And
that oven's already starting to smell. It's putting out a smell already.
Oh, nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm not measuring mine. It calls for 2 cups of fruit, 3 cups of sugar.
Wait, you went from like specific measurements with the bread.
Yes. Oh, this is jam. This is a whole different realm. You could actually make it with the 2 cups of fruit, 3/4 cup sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of lemon juice. But I've found that the 3 cups of sugar is a lot of sugar. I taste mine as I cook it. So what I do, I cook down the fruit first, and then I taste it and I see. And what you're doing is you're just cooking off a lot of the liquid. So I'm going to just take some, what are they called? What are those things called? Blueberries. Blueberries. Because I'm too lazy to cook or to chop up a bunch of, what are they called? Plums. I wonder if plum and blueberry would taste good together, wouldn't they?
Out in the garage, I've got a lot of fruits in the freezer, but just in the kitchen here, all I've got is apple. So.
Okay, that'll work. Hey, you just chop it up, and the finer you chop it, the faster it'll cook. So I might add just a little bit of sugar because I've got, just a few. I don't have a lot of liquid. In fact, I'll probably add just a little bit of liquid to mine. And because it's right
here, I've got a can of blueberry pie filling. My jam's done.
There you go. That's perfect.
That stuff is not very good.
No, you have to add a lot of things to that. Let's see.
Instant pie.
So I'm just, as you can see, cooking my blueberries. And we'll see. So what I'm going to do is just let that go for a little bit and hopefully not forget about it. The fun part. I'm so excited for the fun part.
What have we been doing?
I mean, well, this is all fun, but this part is the best. And this is why I'll probably die earlier, because I've been eating so much butter. And yeah, and now that I can make it so easily, it's like.
So your next step would be, once you make the butter, is then make the clarified butter.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to make that.
So you just like really, really slow cook all the moisture out of it. So all that's left is butter fat, and you can just leave it on the counter and it's like basically concentrated butter.
Oh, nice. That would actually be good. Oops, here's my.
Oh yeah.
If you have a, what is this thing called, like potato masher?
Okay.
You can mash your stuff.
Put just a little bit of wine in my apples.
Ooh, there you go.
I guess I'm making more like a compote.
There you go. And you know what? I don't have this really defined. This is what jam is. This is what jelly is. Whatever.
It's whatever's your jam, right?
Exactly. If you spread it, if you can spread it on bread, go for it.
Well, I'm glad I have all these apples that are just ready to be thrown away.
Oh, perfect then.
I was gonna make some applesauce and then, what do you call it? Dehydrate it. Yeah, this will work.
I did add baking soda to mine, didn't I? Shoot.
What?
I hope I added. I hope I didn't forget the baking soda.
Oh, to the bread?
Yes.
I thought you meant to the jam.
Oh my gosh.
I don't remember.
I'm sure I did, but I've made mistakes twice so far in it where I've substituted baking powder, which is a no.
Yeah, I always do that. I always mix them up. I don't know why.
It's so funny.
Especially when they say to put both, and they'll say put like a teaspoon of baking soda and a tablespoon of baking, the other way around. And I always switch them. the baking powder is supposed to be a small amount and the baking soda a large amount, and I always mix them. And yeah,
So
it
I
doesn't
think
work.
So I think with jam that a lot of people get really overwhelmed because they think that you're going to be making this huge amount of jam that you have to buy canning jars for. And actually, no, there are a lot of people who just make jam for the dinner for that night, or the breakfast for the next morning. And yeah, it's just taking fruit and cooking it down
I
with
have
just a
never
little bit of
heard
sugar.
people just making jam just to eat it fresh. But that sounds like, I mean,
Yeah,
it's so easy to make.
it is.
I
It
have.
is.
I mean, I usually
Nice.
make it if I'm making a bunch of it, and then I eat it for the next like 5 meals also while I can.
Right.
But yeah, I never thought of that. Just make it and eat it because
Yeah.
it's so easy to make.
Well, and when I made it, I made a test run. I took 4 plums and chopped it up, and that made almost a cup full of jam. That's more than what I could eat. So what I did, I had it in this square, actually rectangular container. I let it just sit on my counter, and what it did is it dried out over a couple days. It's got this nice kind of tacky layer on top. I was able to chop that up into little squares and just place this gelatinous like substance on my bread. Fantastic.
Okay, that sounds horrible, but phenomenal tasting. But I don't know, just how you described it, I was just like, yeah, and then but
it was so good.
But that's the thing is basically if you got some fruit you're about ready to throw away, just cook it with some sugar, and you've got yourself jam.
Exactly.
Of course, chop like I did, like the rotten parts off. I mean,
and you don't even need to, unless they're really totally gross. And also, and it doesn't have to be this, picture perfect store-bought, thick jam. It can be slightly runny too. You can call it a syrup. You can turn it into whatever.
Well, I mean, the idea is it's fresh fruit and it tastes phenomenal.
Yep.
For your cakes with your leftover buttermilk.
Yes. Buttermilk pancakes. So I have added a little bit of sugar to it because my blueberries were not very, very sweet. And that's okay.
So did you just put blueberries and sugar and that's it?
Yeah, and just a tidge of lemon juice.
Oh,
I'm going to add just a teeny tiny bit more.
Yeah, balance. Then you get like that sweet and tart balance.
Yeah, yeah. I know years ago I did not like lemons or lemon juice at all. And then when I realized what it's used for, that it's used to bring out the flavor, kind of like salt is, to bring out the flavor and to brighten things. Then it's like, oh,
well, I'm the same
understand.
way with cooking wine. Like it does a similar thing. Like I'm not really into, you just put a little bit and it just pops it out.
Yep. So mine's an experiment. Who knows if it's going to turn into a jam-like substance or not. And also because it's heating up and you're going to bring it, say, to a boiling temperature. So it, it's liquid. It's liquid at that point. But when you cool it down, bring it to, say, room temperature in the fridge, it will firm up a lot. So, or what do we have for time frame? Is it like a total of an hour or?
Yep, we're right at it now. 5 minutes till.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we can let that sit on the stove.
Now, you ever add other flavors like maybe, a little nutmeg or allspice or vanilla or?
Well, say with your apples, you could add cinnamon to it. That would be a really yummy flavor. You'd have more of a, Christmassy autumn type feel for that. Oops. Okay, hold on. I got a couple things going all over the place here. My tech support is gone. Okay, let me get this here. Okay, I think you can see my countertop.
Yeah, that's
my
pretty
table.
good.
Okay, good deal. You're gonna have the string in front of me, but that's okay. All right, so now this is the really exciting part is the butter. So I bought this huge container of heavy whipping cream, not those little containers, this
That isn't, I thought, okay, I didn't buy a big enough one.
It's okay. You know what? And the thing is, you don't need to really measure this part at all. I'll go below my thing. I'm going to measure out just, you know, I have on the recipe, 600 milliliters. Don't worry about it. If you have 400, if you have 300, you can really make as much as you like. I'm going with, I'm going to do, I think 100 milliliters. That is half a cup. And if it's more, if it's less, it's okay. This one, trust me, everyone, this is not exact. And then you're going to add some salt. So the recipe has 600 milliliters of double cream or heavy whipping cream, and then a tablespoon of sea salt.
All right.
And I'm going to take and just add, I don't like mine super salty.
So a pint here says 473 milliliters.
Okay, perfect.
I got.
So I'm going to add some sea salt to this. I'm just going to put whatever in, a pinch of it, a little more than a pinch, because I don't like it super salty. And then we have the challenging bit because it's the loud bit. So what I do is I have it in a tall container. So it is, it's a 2 cup, what is it? 2 cup liquid measure. And then I've got my fancy dancy 1960s or 70s Presto thing. And then you're going to just beat the daylights out of it.
You think I can do it with a hand one? Probably not.
You could, but it would take a little while. But yes, you could, absolutely.
Oh wait, I've got like an immersion blender.
Yeah, you could do that. And and I'll, by the way, take a glance back over at your jam to make sure that it's not boiling down.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yep, mine's almost, because I used such a small amount in my pan, it's thickening rather quick. So here's what mine looks like. If you can see it, there it is.
And speaking of the jam, how much sugar are we using for our 2 cups of fruit?
For 2 cups of fruit, let's see, let me grab the thing. For 2 cups of fruit,
really
the
say
recipe
for a lot of sugar, but it's always
2 cups,
way more than you think.
Yeah, it's 2 cups of fruit, so 3/4 cup sugar is what the recipe calls for. However, you could add in less, like just put it a 1/4 cup in and then see what it tastes like, and just kind of taste it along. So what I should do is I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to turn this on, and I'll stop at a couple points to show you what happens. Let's see, where's the mute button?
I can. It sounds so quiet. No. Okay, where's my emergency? I guess I need to remember to mute too. I guess mine's not too loud.
Is at some stage this is like English clotted cream?
No, I think that you would add like.
So yeah, so what happens is it gets to the point where it's real stiff peaks. So I've taken mine just a little bit beyond stiff peaks. So you can see there, it's pretty firm. Nothing's coming out of my
So that's
container.
just like basically whipped cream.
Yep, it's whipped cream. Clotted cream, Fred, I think is different because you're supposed to take it, and I think part of it you have to cook it for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so what I'll do is I'm going to turn my I'm gonna mute myself and I'll cook or mix this a little bit longer here.
It's so quiet.
I grew up making whipped cream from heavy whipping cream with my mother. And she always said, don't go too long because it'll turn to butter. So I've always known that, you know, if you just go a little bit too far with your whipping cream, you'd end up, in our case, we put vanilla and sugar in our whipping cream. But she would always say, and I guess she's done it enough times.
So you'd end up with vanilla butter?
Exactly. Sweet vanilla. No, but she made sure we never did let it go too far, but it was evident that she had.
Mm-hmm. I've made that mistake. It still ends up with butter, so you get butter, but yeah.
So what happens is it starts to curdle a little bit. And what's happening is it's starting to break down. So you have you have these little chunks that are starting to form. And what's going to happen is in about a minute or less, all of a sudden you're going to get the butter separating out from the milk portion. And it'll start to slop. You'll know it's finished when it slops and starts spraying milk at you. So I'm gonna finish this up here.
I'm so glad I'm not doing this by hand.
You could do it. It would just take a little bit of muscle and a little bit more time.
My nephews will do it in a little mason jar and just shake it and shake it and shake it until you have butter.
Oh, that's cool.
When I was a kid, my grandmother's sister had an old hand churn, and when we were kids, we just loved doing that thing. Churn.
Okay, so I'm getting to the point where when I look at it, it's actually getting a little more yellow. And you can see there's a little bit more
cool.
of
Yeah, look at that.
So check this out, what happens.
So it quickly went from like whipped cream to butter.
So watch this because it's getting the sloppiness. And then all of a sudden you're going to hear lots of kind of thuds. And it's getting a little more sloppy. Oh, it hit me in the face. So, yep. So now you know it's done because it's hit you in the face. So seriously, I got it all over me. And so can you see this, what it looks like? It's got kind of liquid portion of it.
Move it forward a little bit.
Oh, let's see.
Away from you.
Oh, this is the best butter ever.
So.
Oh, man.
So it's got liquid part coming off. Let's see. So what we do from here is we grab the strainer that we forgot to grab earlier. And I have a piece of cheesecloth. And yes, I reuse my cheesecloth. And a little bowl. Oh, there we go. I got my bowl from before. And I take my cheesecloth. Let's see, make sure it's here. Set it on top. Actually, I don't need, well, I do need a strainer. And put your cheesecloth. Kind of double it up. If you have muslin, I think muslin works a lot better because it doesn't have all the holes in it. And let's see, can you see that? And then you take all of the contents of your container, whoopsies, and drop it in. And then what happens is you take you kind of make a little packet out of it. Okay, I'm going to bring this up. So can you kind of see this? And you squish this together so it drains off the milk from the butter. And I think what you're taking off maybe is like the skim milk portion of it. You can drink the milk afterwards, so don't throw that away. So you have this thing and you kind of just squeeze it to however you want to finish it. Can you see the?
You'll need to hold it a little further away from you to be seen.
Like this?
Away from you, so over the black part, closer to the wall, closer to the beater.
There you go.
Ah, okay. I was showing you from my face, from my actual head part, because then you could see my head part. That would be my face. So you could see it dripping out. Okay. And then, so then you have this little hard ball, and you can take out as much liquid as you like. But I like to leave a little bit in there. And then let me grab a tray. I'm going to use something dark so you can see against it, which is a take-home container. And then you open it up and voila, a chunk of butter plops out.
Ooh.
And that's it.
Is it wrong that I stopped hard and I'm just eating it right from the bowl?
No.
It's like
No.
I think there's something wrong.
Check your jam and make sure you turned it off if it's too. Yep, mine's finished. Mine's kind of beyond that. Okay. I'm going to look at my bread. I've got about 2 minutes left on it. But it's still, for me, for some reason, my stove or my oven, it takes 10 minutes more than what it says. So, I put 30 minutes on, it never takes 30 minutes. It always takes 40. Just what it is. It a lot of times it looks darker on the top, but just keep letting it go farther because you want it to get a nice, this is the one that I made earlier, a nice golden brown. So mine's got a little bit more time to go.
Oh, yeah, I should check mine too, huh?
Yeah.
Suzanne?
Hi, Todd. Yep.
On the butter, if you didn't have muslin or cheesecloth, do you think you could end up with the same thing? I have a coffee, my
Yes.
coffee. So if you used a coffee filter, would it?
Yep, coffee filter would be great.
Okay.
Or I suppose you could couldn't you just
you could use
not squeeze the water out and it would just be more liquid?
Exactly. Yep. You could just leave it as is. You could use a tea towel if you have a clean tea towel, not the one that's been sitting on the oven handle for weeks. Let's see. You could even take it. Yes.
I was saying, how come you were like but that's actual butter.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, this
I
is
would
the
have
butter.
a hard time. Like I'd be like wanting to lick it with my fingers. So.
Oh well, I've got the big chunks that were on the beaters, so I take them off, and I'm just. I thought, well, you know what? Let's try it. If I didn't have any cloth, could I just put it on my strainer? And it seems, some of the milk portion gets kind of stuck in the strainer, but it works all right. It's fine. And yeah, you might have a little milky coating. Oh darn, milky coating on my butter. Really? Yeah, that's a grand problem to have. And now that I started doing this butter tastes so much better than the stuff at the store.
Well, so mine, I didn't even keep going because I was using the stick blender and it just, it couldn't do as good.
Oh, okay.
So mine is kind of like, it's like, it tastes like butter, but it looks like really thick whipped cream.
I wonder if you could just keep going a little farther.
Well,
see what happens.
I think it's too small to do it really well, but.
Okay.
Yeah, it just was starting to bog down. It's more to deal with liquid.
Well, and
So,
that's what
wait.
really what happens is it does bog down at a point when it starts getting thicker.
Oh, there's my alarm.
There's your alarm. And you were saying something, R?
I think I'll do another 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm doing another 10 on mine.
Because mine's not even brown.
So aside from using an instant read thermometer, what other way? I mean, it's not like the toothpick thing with a cake, is it at all?
You could, and if you do use that, I would go in the center. So I should get my, so I would go in the parts that are in between and in the center, because that might be a little more open. You can take it and hear if it sounds a little.
What do you think of mine? See, mine's not even brown at all.
Oh, hold on a second, or let me get your picture up.
Oh, I don't have it pointed down.
Mitchie Lou looks nice.
So I mean, it definitely took mine longer.
Yeah.
I think my sides could be a little bit toastier.
Yeah, you could toss it in the oven and keep it in there a little bit longer. I like it.
What are you suggesting? What are you suggesting the thermometer be? Because I also have an instant read.
It should be like 198, 200.
Okay.
Suzanne, on your jam, do you ever macerate your fruit?
Do I ever what?
Before cooking it?
Yes. Yeah, I will.
So like,
I will chop it up. I will chop it up. The smaller pieces, of course, are going to cook a lot faster. I'm going over my
sugar for draw the juices out before cooking it.
You can take some of the juice, but it's some of the juice that actually starts to, as it cooks down and as it concentrates, that's where a lot of the flavor is.
Okay.
So I would just, if you cook it on a smaller amount of fruit on a wider pan, then that'll help concentrate it faster. So you could always try that.
So a question about the doneness. Mine looks done and the toothpick came out clean, but is it better to be a little bit overdone rather than underdone? Or
yes, I would. Yeah, definitely go overdone. As long as it's not like, super charred on the outside.
Let me show you, because I'm a little.
Well, I was gonna suggest, because I also, like mine looked really done, but as I stuck the thermometer in, just digging out some of the middle and trying it, it's still a little gooey on the inside. So Lulu, I think if it looks done on the outside, because it's so thick, it may need to go in just a little longer.
And because the challenge is, you're supposed to touch the bottom and kind of make it sound like this. But the challenge is, when you're trying to do that with something that's red hot, that's why I thought, what, I've got an instant read thermometer. Life is good. So, and when I'm not using the thermometer, I just get it really, really, really dark brown. And that works just fine.
It's looking really good and it's smelling really good.
It smells so wonderful.
When I smell the I did frozen strawberries and they're smelling really good too. So.
Oh, fun. That's awesome.
I gave off a lot of liquid, the frozen strawberries did.
Yep.
So I'm kind of cooking it down slowly. So.
Okay, nice. That's a good plan. Excellent. I'm like, who else? Now I get to look to see who else is on here. I've got people. I've got Janelle and Christy and Cat Lady and Sam.
I usually tend to bake things at a lower temperature so I don't have to freak out too much about it. But
let's see, where am I at? All right, so we've got an extra 5 minutes for me so far. So let's see what happens. And sometimes what'll happen, it still needs time, is for me, what's happened is the area that's right in the center, when it starts getting done, that actually starts to puff out just a little bit more. So, and then when that part starts getting brown, yeah, mine's still not ready. I'm still not happy with mine right now. I will be happy, you know, maybe in 5 more minutes, 4.5 more minutes.
So what? Let's see.
So is it similar to the scone? The soda bread? I don't think I've ever had soda bread before, but.
You know, I would say slightly similar, yeah. I haven't had a scone in ages, and whenever I have them, everyone's like, these are the quintessential scones. And then I have them in the other place says that no, these are. And so I don't know if I've ever had an authentic scone. I have no idea what they are anymore. It's been so long. I guess that might have to be my next thing to try.
Yeah, it looks very similar. That's why I was curious.
Yeah. Oh, and then you can take your little lump of butter and toss it in the fridge if you want.
So what other kinds of jams did you make this week? You said.
I only made the 2. I just made the plum and then just now the blueberry. In the past, I've made loads of different types of jams. I'll take any fruit and make jam out of it. I know there are some that aren't supposed to be good. Like I don't know. My friend Sue would be best at telling me which jams don't make good jams. But something like this, it's not really a jam, and we're not getting it to a super setting point. And it doesn't.
Did you ever add stuff to thicken it, like cornstarch or bar gum or?
Nah, I really don't. If I'm canning it, then I might add pectin.
So those little dollops that I put on top are kind of like burning, but I still think it needs to stay in. So my recommendation is keep it all like the same place. Don't have little things sticking up.
Or you could always just pop the dollop off and just nosh that right away.
I did. I broke them off and ate them because they were burning.
Yeah, that's what I would do. That's ideal.
In fact, I did golden raisins and cherries, and one of those dollops had the cherry, so that was kind of nice.
So I wanted to tell Orr that I found a small batch spiced plum jam. So he mentioned doing spices, and so this one has the plums and sugar, but also has cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove.
Cool.
Oh.
So Suzanne, you said you made a whole bunch of batches this week.
God,
what do you think? What do you think? Something you feel like you learned from like a week ago when you started making these?
I would say definitely that you have to pick what jam you're going to use, because the plum jam on a cherry bread, not so good. So I really didn't eat any of the plum for that. I could have done that too, couldn't I? I've got my tech support is here figuring out the thing. And oh, now it's in my face again. There we go. Yay. Perfect. What I learned, of course, is don't accidentally grab the baking powder. Just throw that in the cupboard and don't use it. Make sure it's a baking soda. Having made the mistake two times. I made it the very first time I made this was the original recipe with the currants and the mixed peel. That is, if you get a chance to make it, if you ever get a chance to buy some mixed peel, that was really, really scrummy. I enjoyed that so much, and I want to make that again. So what I found a recipe online of how to make mixed peel on my own, because I need another thing to do. So that's what I'm going to do next, is to make that.
What is mixed peel? Is that the candied peel?
It's a little more different than candied. You take like the rind and the pith of lemons, grapefruits, limes, oranges, and you cook it down in a sugar syrup for a while. There's certain amounts of times, but it stays kind of syrupy and sticky. You don't put the sugar on the outside. So, and the British use it a lot for making their Christmas puddings and their Christmas cakes.
And it's sold like you buy your spices in England, you can just buy it on the shelf.
Yep. Oh, it's there everywhere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, would really love it if we would carry that here, but we don't in the US.
It would be nice. So I'm going to start making it because
it's not just the zest. It is the pith as well.
It is the pith as well. Yep. Exactly.
Oh, I want to learn to make that. That sounds good.
Yeah, and I think it's a longer process. So what I
It
can
can't
do,
be as long as that cake you made that takes like a year.
I haven't even started it. My Christmas pudding, you mean?
Yeah.
What?
But the other one, the Christmas cake, that only took a couple months.
Yeah.
And we
So
find a recipe for mixed peel that you like. Once you've perfected it, then you'll show us. How's
I
that?
will. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Well, I'll have to see how long it takes. Because if it takes, like 12 hours or overnight, maybe not so much. But we can go over the basics. We can get it started.
Well, as
So-
long as the prep happens. Oh, Lulu, show us.
I think
let's
it's
see.
done. I mean, it's sounding real hollow.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds really promising.
Smells so good. Oh, and it's pretty dark on the bottom.
Well, that looks nice. Yeah, and mine, let's see. Mine's getting there. I'm still not super happy with mine, even though mine is getting really, I've got parts of it that are ready to go and the other parts that are not so much.
I wonder if it'd cook really well if you didn't keep opening the oven.
Shush.
I mean, that's my problem is I like to look at food when it's cooking and it's so hard to like.
I know. It's so bad.
I'm just like, yeah, I have one of those egg timers and that's helped me tremendously. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. Let's see. I might just take this off and just call it done because let's see. Oh, we've gone over, haven't we? Or, oh no.
In the fancy, oh, we're good. The fancy cooking shows, what they do is they pre-bake one, right?
Well,
And
I
it's
could
just
go,
ready.
I could go, oh, look at this. I've eaten already most of it.
Just like- so
That's okay.
I am so happy because I am always intimidated by baking. And I've been trying to do it. I didn't have to buy anything for this because I have everything except I had to buy whipping cream and the currants.
Nice.
Because I've got the supplies for baking and I do it, but I'm very intimidated. And
It's something that you just have to start playing with.
well, since I got the scale.
Oh, the scale's so nice.
Okay. Before I was always doing it by measuring.
Mm-hmm.
And there was always some kind of issue.
Yep.
Because it's actually, baking is kind of more like a scientific, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Suzanne.
Yes, Camille?
Yes, I have a baking soda story.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah?
My ex was making chocolate chip cookies and asked where the baking soda was.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out he used the baking soda that we used in the bathroom.
No. No.
The one that absorbed all the smells.
Exactly. So I suggested he take those cookies to work.
Oh, no.
And I found that Red Mill actually has baking soda that is not coming in that huge bag like, was it Arm & Hammer?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But Red Mill has a very nice baking soda that might be an alternative to.
Ooh, look at Christy's bread.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, I'm going to spotlight her for a second.
Anyway, that was baking soda experience.
That's awesome. Oh, check that out. Christy, that looks great. Wow. I should take mine out.
So yeah, you want to just take it out and spread it out, even if it's not ready, and we'll wrap up the recording.
Yes.
And then we'll all.
Yes. Okay. So here is mine.
Let me put it
Are
on
you
the
gonna
other
spotlight
camera.
me there? Okay.
I'm getting better at this.
So this, and so let's see what it looks like here. I've got 189, you know, in different parts. 188. I might even put mine in just for a wee bit longer. And so I found sometimes with different fruit, it might.
Oh, that's mine.
It might cook a little bit longer. So who knows? We'll see. What I'm going to do is, you're not supposed to crack it open. Oh, and by the way, see how everything looks here with all the stuff? That's what my table looks like when I cook. I need somebody to clean up after me. So I'm gonna take this apart and see
Mine
what it looks
definitely
like.
needs to cook a little longer.
Hey, Suzanne, is it supposed to look like a shamrock?
Well, it may be. So here's what, okay, so I tore a piece off.
Ooh, look at all that steam.
So here's what it looks like.
Oh,
Ooh,
and it smells so, I mean,
Beautiful.
like the baking, it has this like sweet, but
Mhm.
I don't know, like how to describe it.
Yeah, I think. Yep. And right in the center, it's just a little bit moist. I think it's fine. I'm calling this a success. Oh, yummy.
Now, does it taste better like just eating it fresh, or to like some bread tastes better the next day?
Fresh. Fresh is better, but you know what? I will eat mine and just slice it up because I can't eat the whole loaf in one day. Well, I could, but that would be bad. and so I will just eat it over, you know, over the course of a couple days. I slice it thin-ish, whatever, slather the butter on it, and Bob's your uncle. It's awesome.
So you don't heat it? Like I could see like slicing it thin and then just like frying it in some butter and eating it like hot for breakfast.
You could. That sounds really good. You could toast. Like, you're evil. You could toast it. That would be nice to toast it. So years ago, or well, okay, I always make a lot of banana bread. I have this one recipe and I love it. I make this banana bread and I heat it up and put butter on it. It's wonderful. And then a former boyfriend of mine said, "Oh, that's not how you eat it. You're supposed to take it, put it in a toaster, and then smother it with peanut butter." Oh boy, that is luscious.
So let's see, does anybody else want to show off their bread and I spotlight it?
I have a question. Is it okay to break it apart now while it's hot?
Yeah, you want to kind of see if it's done. Usually you don't, but I do because I wanted to see if it's done in the center.
Okay, Mitchie, let me add you spotlight. See?
Okay, so who are we looking at now?
Good, and there's like a
That's-
different sauce there too.
Yeah, I made an apricot, vanilla, honey, lime jam.
Wow, that's beautiful. And look, you even got the little zesty things. The peel. Oh, the little peel.
Yeah, and I put everything but the bagel seasoning for the bread instead.
That is lovely.
There's Lulu's. And
Let's
look
see,
here.
Lulu's.
Here's Teresa's. We're just going all hot. How many? This is like everybody's done this before. Just like.
Honestly, the other I've made soda bread hasn't turned out this well because they weren't done in the middle. So I'm happy. And they weren't fruited, so I'm excited about that.
Wow, Lulu, that looks great.
It is a little gooey, but it's moist, but not totally gooey.
Okay.
Take a bite. You have to take a bite.
It's
Hey, Howard.
It's kind of hot still.
hot.
It is hot. It is hot.
Wouldn't stop me. Just
No, it does not. Do you know how many times I've burned my tongue and my mouth on anything that I've cooked? Every time.
The zest makes it really good. Oh, wait.
Teresa, what did you put in yours, Teresa?
muted.
did dried cranberries.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it turned out
Excellent.
pretty good.
That looks
Yeah.
lovely. Yay,
Yeah.
nice job.
So do you think there's any fruit that you couldn't put in there? Obviously it has to be fruit that's, not super moist, because
Yes, it has to be dried. I tried apricots, but I halved the recipe. That was a mistake. I think I should have put more apricots in because I really miss that flavor. Dried blueberries, I'm not sure. Yeah.
very small, it always has to be small things, or could you put like a whole date
Smallish.
or a whole apricot?
I have
Like-
raisins.
What's
I
the
got
difference?
I put raisins. in
Raisins are
mine.
great. Raisins
What's
are perfect.
the difference between currants and raisins?
Currants are very small. They're very
Tiny.
small. Yeah.
Tiny.
Mm-hmm. But they're yummy. I love them.
Ooh,
I kind
I'm
of
gonna
prefer
spot-
them.
Yeah, in England, you can get a
Ooh.
Oh, look
currant,
at that! It's
currant bun.
Teresa. It's got like all the puffed holes in it. That's just like
Yeah.
perfect.
Teresa, that's
Nice.
awesome. I've known
Nice.
Teresa for years and years. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's
Now,
something. I wonder if you could
Lulu,
put mangoes.
we're gonna spotlight you watching you chow down. Look at that. Butter, look at that.
I'm used
Right
to
out of the
That's
bowl, right
perfect.
out of the pot.
I think we're done for the evening. I'm turning the recording off.
Okay.
That's perfect.
That's awesome, Lulu.
Suzanne, do you want to say any final words?
Yeah, just thanks everyone for coming. And if you have any questions, shoot me a message. I can help you out with whatever and just give you my info and
And
give you what I
come-
know.
come
I'm
next
kind of a
week.
hack at this.
Yep.
Oh yeah, next week.
I
What's
wanted to
next week, or?
We have 2 ladies in Brazil are going to give us Brazilian food. So we're going to make a fish stew and brigadeiros, which are chocolate balls, like and tapioca. And we're arguing. We did a practice, and we found that American tapioca flour does not work as good as Brazilian tapioca flour, but or I'm just the worst cook at it. So, all right.
That sounds
We'll see.
wonderful. Excellent.
So.